Good afternoon, everybody. I know there's an awful lot of attention. You have a lot of questions today. Obviously, we're here because of a crash that's occurred within the last couple of hours here at Woodham Field. I'm going to do my very best to answer as many questions as I can and to release as much information as I can. Obviously, we're very fresh into the investigation. So what we can release, we will release. I have with me representatives from the airport, our county administrator, Terry and Krista. We have the administrator for the airport itself. I have one of my pilots here who has a little more technical expertise than I have. So we'll do everything we can to answer your questions. Let me give you just a brief overview of what we absolutely know so far. At 1:10 this afternoon, the Martin County Sheriff's Office received its first call of a plane crash here at Woodham Field. Our first responding deputies arrived and located a plane crash on the runway safe zone, which is runway 30. Fire rescue personnel were already on the scene and had extinguished the flames, which by all appearances had fully engulfed the airplane. The aircraft we're talking about is a Grumman Mohawk, which is a military plane which is now in private hands. That aircraft was in production from approximately 1959 until 1970. I don't have the exact year yet that airplane was manufactured. All indications are that the pilot was the only occupant and that he is a fatality. We're in the process now of notifying next of kin. I know that in the day of social media, some of you may already be onto his name, but we're going to follow our protocol until we've made positive identification and made absolutely certain that the next of kin is notified. I will not be releasing his name at this conference. The NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, is currently on their way here from the West Coast. I believe they're coming from Naples, so we expect them within the next 2.5 hours. They've been coming obviously since the crash. There is video of the crash. I think some of you have already seen it. I understand some of the networks have already started to run that video. There's additional video that will be available later on at the discretion and direction of NTSB. The victim's remains are currently still here at the crash site, and the medical examiner is en route to remove his remains. I want to close this initial briefing by saying that the Sheriff's Office and all of us here are extremely saddened by this. This is part of the air show. This airplane was here and getting ready for the air show. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first plane crash that the air show has ever had, and they've had a long track record of safety. We're very grateful that our fire department personnel were here and got there just as fast as possible. There was absolutely nothing anybody could have done. So with that, I'll be glad to answer whatever questions I can from the Sheriff's Office standpoint, and then we have people here that can answer other questions.
Sheriff, was
Kelly?
he doing a maneuver or a practice, or can you tell us more about what was happening at the time?
Right. The question is, was he doing a maneuver? Is there anything I can tell you about it? We did talk with the NTSB, and we can't at this time get into what was going on prior. So just to make it clear, the sheriff's role here would be to determine cause of death and work at this until we're sure there's no criminality, which we absolutely do not suspect. But what he was doing, how the crash occurred, that's way off my radar.
Will this delay the opening of the air show tonight at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, the question is, will it delay the air show? I can only speculate that it will, but we have people here that will absolutely be able to address that. So that's one question we want to hold on to, the air show itself.
Was anybody else injured besides the pilot? Or?
Yeah, Will's question, was anybody else injured? The answer to that is no.
Was anyone close enough who was in a position to try to get out to the wreckage, hopefully fairly quickly, moments after impact, to try to pull this guy out of the plane?
Good question. Yeah, the question is, were rescue personnel close enough to have gotten there so quickly that had there been a way to rescue him, they would have? The answer is unequivocally yes. The Martin County Fire Rescue personnel were on top of it within moments. Probably by the time we're done with our investigation, we'll know exactly how long it took. But I've been at the crash site. There was absolutely nothing anybody could have done if they were standing on the ground next to the crash.
So fire rescue was already out here just as a safety precaution for the people who were practicing the stunts or whatever?
Yeah, the question is, was fire rescue out here? The answer is yes, but fire rescue personnel are standing behind me. So that's the second question on cue for somebody else, and that would be, who's out here? How many rescue personnel responded?
What's your general reaction to this?
Yeah, your question is, my general reaction was what I closed with, is one thing I always try to do is I try to picture the survivors getting this news and how sad it is. And so somebody following their passion, obviously somebody who owns an airplane like this and flies it, has a passion for flying, and death is always a sad thing for us. So my reaction is I'm saddened for the family.
You mentioned that there could be a delay for the start of everything today. Any idea if it will happen tonight as far as the opening?
Right, the question is, I think I expressed, is there going to be a delay? And we do have somebody queued up to answer that question. I'm just speculating. It's 3:30 and things start at 5. This whole airport shut down. There's no planes coming in. It's an active runway.
Sheriff, have you talked to anybody who saw the crash?
Yeah, Kelly's question is, did I talk to anybody who saw the crash? The answer is yes. We do have people who saw it, saw the plane go down, watched it. I think one of our fire rescue personnel was actually watching the plane over somebody's shoulder and saw the plane go down.
Someone described it as kind of going nose down right into the ground. Is that kind of accurate, or?
Yeah, the question is, someone described it as it going nose down. It kind of is going to sound odd for me to say I'm not talking about how the plane crashed, because you all have video of it, but I can't.
Okay.
I just cannot. That's off my purview.
Was the pilot a Martin County resident?
Was the pilot a Martin County resident? He, right now, we have every reason to believe he's a South Florida resident, either from Palm Beach or perhaps from here. We think we know who he is, but in the abundance of caution, until we made positive ID and until the victims survive, the family is notified, I won't release his name.
Maybe this isn't for you, but do you know if this particular plane and gentleman have participated in the air show like in years past?
Yeah, the question is this gentleman participated in years past? We'll have to get somebody else to answer. I don't know the answer.
Do you know how long he had been in the air or been? No, I'm sorry, you said you couldn't answer.
Yeah.
Never mind.
How long, Sheriff, until the sheriff's office is finished with its part of what happened?
How long until the sheriff's office is finished with their part? We're here now. Our crime scene is here. We have a boatload of criminal investigators and forensic people. We have some sophisticated crime scene apparatus out there. We're working hand in hand with the FTSB. They've made requests of us on evidence gathering, evidence preservation, release of the body. So I would say we'll be here probably through the night. We do have people coming to begin once the body has been removed to get the aircraft parts out. Obviously, we have to stand by for that just to make sure we haven't missed anything. So it's going to be a long night for the sheriff's office.
Sheriff, the victim is believed to be an adult male.
The question is, the victim is believed to be an adult male. The answer to that is yes.
You know how much fuel the plane had on board?
The other question is, do I know how much fuel was on board? I don't know the answer. So let's go back over the questions that you needed answered. The first one was going to be fire rescue personnel and their response time. So I'll step out of the way. And Chief.
I don't have the times yet, but we do have emergency crews on standby throughout the air show. These people are specially trained for aviation emergencies. For the initial response, we had 4 fire apparatus and 16 personnel on scene. But the times I don't have yet, but we'll have them soon.
You guys always have, it's just a matter of routine to have crews on standby during the air show?
It's part, yes, sir. It's part of the routine to have the emergency crews on standby.
How far were they from the actual spot where the plane hit the ground? Were they on the other side of the airport? Were they 100 yards away? Do you know?
I would say approximately a quarter mile, approximately where they stage the apparatus for it, while they're doing their practice flights and when the actual show is going on.
When you said apparatus, you mean fire trucks?
Fire, yes, sir. Fire engines, ambulances.
So they rushed over there, but by that time the plane was already in flames. There was nothing they could do to get the guy out.
Upon arrival, the plane was already on fire, and then they put it out immediately.
And there was no effort, what I meant by that is there was really no opportunity for them to try to get the guy out of the plane?
There was nothing that could be done at that point in time.
And why is that?
Just due to the impact of the airplane, I would say, the amount of damage that we observed.
Can you give us your name, sir, and spell it?
Kevin Herndon, Herndon.
What's your title?
Deputy Fire Chief.
And Deputy Chief, have there been other, this is the first crash, the first fatal crash here at the air show?
As far as I can recollect, over the years, this is the first fatality that we've had air show wise here locally.
What's your reaction?
Just to mirror the sheriff, you're thinking about the family, the people that he works with in the air show. I mean, no words can express the grief that you feel.
If this had happened when the show was up and running, would there have been people in the area? Would this have been a compounded tragedy?
The area that the accident happened there would not have been any personnel there or any other spectators there.
And there are homes that border.
There's actually a golf course that actually borders right at where the impact was. So.
And what is that area known as? That area where that crash happened?
Sheriff, do you know
Golf course, right?
George?
Just repeat your
The
question.
area where the crash happened, what is that area known as? What is it used for, or what is it known as?
Oh, that's the question is, what was that part of the runway used for? Now, from a layman's standpoint, we'll get the exact term. It's a place that a plane coming in that needs extra stopping power can hit the runway. Actually, if you go out there and see it, it's a softened feel, and so a plane coming in that needs to slow down would come in there, and it would slow the plane down. It looks like the runway actually starts to suck down on the wheels.
I have two questions. Did the plane land on grass or dirt or on a hard asphalt surface?
Right. The question: did the plane land on grass, dirt, or hard surface? It landed on the runway on a hard surface.
Did the pilot make any attempt to radio for help? Did he indicate he was having trouble with the engine or anything before he hit the ground?
Did the pilot indicate that he was having trouble with radio for help? And so that goes back to the actual crash investigation of the plane. So I'll stay away from that one.
Is there an ability to eject from a plane like that?
Question is, was there ability to eject? Actually, I have a pilot right here. Could he have ejected?
I'm not sure on that particular model.
Yeah. The question of could he have ejected is really kind of moot because he's way too low to eject.
But again, you guys' role is just to see if there's a crime involved, essentially, and to notify the next of kin and do a cause of death investigation.
Right. Yeah. The question is, our role is to do a cause of death, next of kin, and make sure there's no crime, and that's it. What was the other one, Will? That was good.
Yeah.
Was he coming in for a landing?
Yeah. The question was he coming in for a landing? So because that has to do with what he was doing prior, which will have no impact whatsoever on our investigation, I just can't answer that.
Well, I mean, some of the people apparently were witness to the crash, so
Right.
what did they see? The fire rescue folks who were out there who saw it.
Yeah.
Did
So.
they see him trying to land?
So the question is, what did they see prior to the crash? And we're going to stay within the NTSB guidelines. They were pretty specific on what we could talk about. So I want to be really careful and be faithful to the federal government's investigation.
Sheriff, do you know, are all of the planes for the air show this weekend already here? Is this preventing any other aircraft from landing?
Yeah,
For the show?
the question is, are all the airplanes here? And is this preventing airplanes from coming in?
I can take that one.
And Mr. George Stokas, who's an assistant county manager.
So the answer to where the aircraft are, there are aircraft staged all around the state because currently the airport is closed to all activities until the NTSB finishes its investigation. We will reopen the airport for normal operations once the Federal Aviation Administration, the NTSB, and the Sheriff's Office clears the airport, and we'll resume normal operation.
Does that mean that the opening of everything is delayed because of the airport itself is shut down?
As of right now, the airport is NOTAM, which is Notice to Airmen, N-O-T-A-M, Notice to Airmen, shut down closed, so there is no aviation activity whatsoever until we reopen. It's unknown as to what time that will occur. Again, once the NTSB finishes their investigation and the FAA as well as the Sheriff's Office, then we have to begin the cleanup effort.
What do you think needs to be said to the people who are thinking about possibly coming tonight, and whether that's a possibility?
Well, in my discussions with the air show, they are looking at, for sure, there will be no aeronautical activity occurring tonight, so there will be no air show acts, there will be none of that. It does appear, based on weather and the incidents that were involved right now, that the fireworks as well as the part for Dirty Flight Suit Party, it looks like it will not be occurring today. It may be scheduled for tomorrow, but again, that all hinges on the determination of the NTSB and the FAA. It's right now an active investigation scene. Until they are finished with their investigation, we are closed.
And that's likely to happen throughout the night, so no air activity here tonight.
I can say right now there will be no aeronautical activity for the Friday night air show tonight.
You say no fireworks either?
I don't have a determination on that, but I would assume at this point, with an active investigation scene, that could we would probably be affecting that as well, due to the fact that we'll have people cleaning up on the runway.
So people who may have tickets tonight should probably just skip it and stay home?
Well, I understand that the air show is going to be releasing a statement via their social media and their press auspices. They are currently meeting right now to determine what they're going to do. I would probably assume that that's probably a good guess on that point, but I can't give you an exact answer on that.
Social media and then through the local media
Yeah.
will be how people will find
Absolutely.
out
We'll
whether
make
the show
sure.
goes on.
Yes, we will make sure you all know through our public information officers what is going to occur tonight.
How many aircraft are here for this event?
I would say on average, I think they have about 30 to 40 static aircraft and about 15 to 20 actual performers. From the air show standpoint and the county, all the air show acts are nationally certified through a safety program. I don't have the actual name of that program, but they all do receive safety certifications. I know there's a question as to whether this performer has been in the previous air show. The answer to that is yes. He has been in previous air shows. He does have the proper credentialing as well as the certifications. That's one of the requirements that the county requires in order to have an air show at its facility at the airport.
And when was he due to perform?
He would be performing in the normal schedule on Saturday and Sunday. I don't know the exact answer to that.
See, just to be clear, this guy had been performing not just in this air show, but in other air shows, or he had just been in this air show?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what previous air shows he's been in.
But he has been performed at the Stuart Air Show in years past?
Yes, he has been to the Stuart Air Show in years past.
When did the Stuart Air Show begin? How many years has this been held?
30 years ago.
This
is his 30th anniversary.
So it's the first crash in 30 years?
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
How many Stuart Air Shows has he been a part of the pilot?
I don't know the exact answer to that at this time.
Do you anticipate if this crash had not have occurred, when would the airport open for normal activities again?
If this incident had not occurred, we would follow the normal the normal air show schedule. I believe the practice air show was due to be concluding at 5:30, and the night air show was to begin at, I believe, 7 o'clock local. We would be following that, but because of this, we are now closed.
George, do you have to get certified every year to fly, or is it, what's the certification process?
I don't know, but we will find out what that is called, and we will make sure our PIOs have that, and they will get you that information.
Once the name is released, or the next of kin has been done, how can we get the paperwork that this gentleman must have filled out and submitted to the county?
We will be more than happy to supply whatever public records we have to give to them.
Could one of you just sort of give us a picture of what you think the final moments were like aboard that plane in the cockpit?
No, from the county and the fire rescue perspective, we can't do that. I'm
Sheriff,
guessing the
can you do
sheriff.
that?
Yeah, the question was, could we speculate on what might have been going through the pilot's mind? And I think that we can all speculate about the same as me. And so, because it was part of the crash part, I wouldn't speculate. But I will say this: the airplane fraternity here in Martin County is pretty strong. I've had some dealings with them through the years. These pilots all know each other. This is a brotherhood and a sisterhood. I think that this pilot will be well known to many of us, to many in the community. And look, airplane travel is one of those things that people have feelings about. Some people won't get in an airplane at gunpoint, and some people go up and do stunts in airplanes, and everybody in between. So it's a close community. We're sorry for the whole community. We're sorry for the family. We're sorry for the community. We understand the impact on the air show, but if you don't mind me saying it, I think the impact on the air show is the least of what we have today. We have a terrible and sudden death of somebody, one of us, one of our community.
He was an experienced pilot. This was not a beginner, a novice. This was a guy who had been doing this a while.
Yeah, the question is the experienced pilot. I don't know the exact answer. It appears that, yeah, he's flying an airplane that most pilots couldn't fly. I mean, it's a special aircraft.
A former military type. Okay.
Right. The question is a former military. Yeah, that plane was designed and built for military use. So it was some kind of a armed surveillance plane.
Okay.
Maybe a question for George. Would you anticipate that tomorrow there would be a delay to the air show opening as well?
You know, we will have to play it hour by hour and based on when we receive the release of the actual scene, but I will tell you that the county and the airport will do its best to move along the scene so that we have a clean and safe operating environment for the airport. That's our number one key here is safety, life safety, making sure aircraft are flying into an environment that is clean, sterile, and safe. So we will wait and stand by with our partners here at the Sheriff's Department. Once they give that back to us, the county will begin the cleanup effort.
You mentioned no aeronautical activity here tonight. Is it safe to say will there be any ground activities tonight that you know of?
I cannot answer that question at this time. The air show will need to make that determination. When we find out, we will make sure that's released to you all.
Is there also a fuel spill that they have to clean up, or did all that burn up?
We treat every scene the exact same. I cannot tell you what the amount of fuel was on board at this time. I just don't know that. But once the NTSB and the FAA, and we have those records and we will go through all that, we will take the appropriate measures to clean up the scene as to where it is.
Can you give us the end number or the tail number? Of the plane?
We cannot release that information at this time.
Can you allow us to get closer so we can get a better picture of what we have over there?
Right now, this is our designated point for the press. We have an active investigation scene. We will do our best as to allowing some type of access. What I can tell you is that the scene is on once the scene is cleaned up, it's an active runway, which is not a safe environment for press to have cameras on. So we will make that determination at the point in time and allow what we feel is appropriate based on the environment that is occurring at that time.
Give us your name and spell it.
My name is George Stokus, S-T-O-K-U-S. I'm the Assistant County Administrator.
S-T-O-K-U-S?
Yes, sir.
Just the last question, if y'all didn't hear it, was I know you want to get a little closer. Obviously, a plane crash is newsworthy. We're sensitive to that. We have we have very clear pictures of what occurred, and we'll work with the NTSB. We'll work with the airport. We'll pick our way through it, but we'll do the best we can to get you all the information that you need and your viewers will be interested in. The other thing, as far as the activities here at the airport tonight, the fireworks, you know, I've seen this before where the two things are colliding. One is people want to come out to an air show, which is generally an entertainment event, and we have a tragic death. So I think, to be fair to those behind me and to the air show people, they have a huge decision to make. I mean, cleaning up the scene is going to be a big deal, but that will be done pretty quickly. And then what happens after that, everybody's sensitivities have to be considered, and I think they'll do their very best. The air show is a big deal. It's a highlight for a lot of people here in Martin County.
Is it possible that the entire show might be called off?
Question: the entire show be called off? I can't imagine that, but yeah, I don't foresee that. You all have been very gracious. Thank you so much. I appreciate your understanding my dilemma on what I can release. Will, you have one more question?
No. Just you show me where on this map exactly.
Yeah. So Will's going to want that. Okay. Y'all have a safe day. Thank you very much.